Welcome everyone to day 2 of level 1 English class. My apology for the technical issue once again today. We're about half an hour late, so we'll try to make up for that in the next hour and a half. So our class will actually finish at about 9:30, so it's about 25 minutes late. But thank you everyone for your understanding. We were trying to work out what's going on with this technical issue that have been experiencing for the last 2 days. So we'll figure that out after today's class. But thank you everyone for waiting. So I'm Isabella, and I will be your instructor for this session, second session of level 1. And remember that level 1 consists of 2 sessions with a total of 2 energy activation. So yesterday we received the brain cell activation, and then today we'll go with the stem cells activation. Remember that you must attend both sessions and receive both activations to be considered as completed level 1 fully. And remember that these activations only work in real time. And what that means that if you rewatch this video for revision later on, then you can listen to the content, but of course you need to skip the energy activation. So only when the video is live that you know that there's an instructor sitting in front of the screen activating your brain cell and stem cells. But otherwise, when you rewatch it, it would just be the content that you'll be able to listen to. All right, so let's just recap a few points from yesterday. We'll go a little bit, of course, deeper into discussing some of those topics and really talk about the important parts of learning NLG and how to be successful when you come into this method. So we've already know, and I've talked about this yesterday, is that NLG helps us thrive in many different fields. It helps us to improve our health, and even with economic benefits for us to build and maintain a happy, loving family. So all of those things are very much relevant to us, things that we can do, things that we can look into training ourselves to do so that we can make a difference. And the good things about this method is that it's something that you can do right now. You don't have to wait for the next years or so. You don't have to wait for 50 years to see the result. Some of the things that you can do now, you can experience these changes very quickly. As probably you've heard about this from other NLG participants before. And so with this method, we have the energy source to make a difference. And we rely on this energy source that is from the outer space civilization. And it allows us to do much better things for ourselves, for our community, for our world. But if you don't connect properly, then of course, your energy will be very limited. You'll actually be using, and if you don't connect at all, then you'll be using your own energy, and your own energy is also very, very limited compared to the endless energy source from outer space that you can get access to, and that you can actually utilize it for bigger projects. So in these foundation levels of NLG, we really point to the core of this method and of how you can actually connect to this method properly. All right, so let's just have a look at these slides so that we can discuss them a little bit more. Now, yesterday we talked about the 5 forms of love, and I hope that you will remember by now what those 5 forms of love would actually be. And so in level 1, we wish that you work on the first and the second form of love, which is self-love and love for family. So once you got connected to this energy, to this energy source, it's really important to ask ourselves, how can we maintain this energy and how do we enhance it on a daily basis? So only when we keep moving forward and we're working on these forms of love that we can benefit our life, our family, etc. So with the 5 forms of love, the point is to, gradually working towards, so the first one, the second one, the third, the fourth, and then the fifth. So we start with self-love, which is very, very different from being selfish. And knowing how to love your family is certainly very necessary before you can extend the love to the bigger community. You can't really say that I do a lot of great things for community and I have love for community when you don't have love for the people who are around you, who relate to you closely, that is your family. So having love and expressing love is profoundly beneficial for yourself, for your family. So whether you are a son, a daughter, or a parent, a wife, a husband, we all belong to our own family. And that is basically something that we need to work towards: happiness and harmony and empathy. We know that there are, that when we are in a state of negativity, then basically what it does, when we don't practice love and morality according to what we've already know here at NLG, is that we don't get to connect to this energy source properly. And remember that, because the core of NLG, how we connect, is actually that love that we practice. We don't just talk about it, but we practice it. So when it comes to these forms of love, is absolutely necessary for you to upgrade them as you go as well. It's not just having it. It's not just about talking about it, but it's about practicing it and upgrading it as you go from level 1, 2, 3, etc. And when you are in a negative state, visualize it this way so that it's just easier for you. But when you are in a negative state, it's like pressing the wrong phone number. So when you put in the wrong phone number, of course, you can't get to the person that you need to talk to. And it's good if you continue to upgrade your love as you go. So not just about saying that I will be a good person or a loving person. And then when you're conscious of it, of course, you go and do it. But maybe tomorrow, when something happened, when you return to a negative state again, that you're no longer conscious of putting in the effort to show love, to choose more loving, caring words when you converse, when you interact with other people. Now, the thing is, some of us, a lot of the time, we mistaken, being basically when we take advantage of other people and we benefit ourselves in that ways, that some of us, I guess, in some aspect, we might think that we're talented or that we're more successful than other people because we can achieve, better things or more money or whatever. But you don't care so much about how you get there. But when it comes to NLG, the process of how you get to certain outcomes are really important, as in the way that you treat other people, is in the way that you talk to other people and interact with other people. So as you continue to complete higher class levels here at NLG, you will understand why it's necessary to do that, and why, some of the consequences that you can expect if you treat other people in very negative ways. And we're going to explain it to you from an energy perspective, and it's going to help you to understand more about, and it helps to explain, I guess, some of the unanswered questions, when people keep asking why and how, and they try to explain a certain idea from, specific perspective. But when you look at it from an energy perspective, from an energy point of view, and how you, and particularly if you're interested in this method, if you're interested in harnessing this energy, then I guess you have a more open mind to listen to these explanations of how and why things happen. Because oftentimes, when we believe that we've done enough or that we've done a lot of great things, and then we ask ourselves, but why is it that, even though I've been doing a lot of these incredible things, and yet I'm not as happy as other people? They seem to be happier, or you're looking around you and you might ask the question of, why is it that some people seem to be happier than others? Why is it that they're more wealthier than others? And from an energy perspective, that is because the things that you've done, there's always consequences, and it actually attracts. So basically, if you give negative energy, then of course you would receive negative energy back. Probably not at that particular point of, not at that particular period of time, but it could be in another period of time, and it could happen in many, many different ways. It's not that you give something and then you receive that in return in the exact form. That can take, many, many different forms. And of course, none of us can, go against the laws of, what goes around comes around. And Mr. Lee will certainly explain this a lot more in level 3 onwards. And that also explains from an energy perspective some of the things that we do that are not necessarily good or positive. And I'm trying to put this in a nice way, but generally, when we do something that is malicious, that meant to hurt other people, and to take advantage of other people, then that in return you will get something like that. But a lot of the time, what you find is that what you get in return for those negative behaviors or attitude, it's not necessarily the things that you gave, but it's could also be in the forms of an illness. Okay, and as you get to a high class level, then with this, how energy attracts, you will understand more about this. And of course, with this energy source, it doesn't just help us to understand about love and morality, but once we understand those principles and we utilize it, it can make a great impact on our body, and from upgrading the brain capacity and then subsequently the cells in our body as well. So only when the cells in our body receive this energy and utilize it, that our conditions can improve. And also, when we change our ways of viewing things, of treating people, so we stop sending out negative signals and start, sharing positive signals and interaction with everyone else, then that's exactly what you receive. And that's also put you in the frequency to absorb a lot of this great energy, that's called NLG, so that you can experience rapid health improvements. And a lot of energy participants have experienced just that, because when they come into energy, they recognize the keys of energy, which is love and moral values. Not just talking about these elements, but really putting them into practice. So they learn to let go of negativity. They learn to, reconcile with people, and they learn to harmonize with other people. And so when energy participants come in, they're expected to be the one who change. So you come into to develop yourself further. You don't come in here to then expect other people having to change. And here at NLG, we certainly break this down for you so that you can visualize it and practice it easy. And you can practice it easier through the 5 forms of love. So let these elements guide you in how you interact with other people, how you give response to things around you, whether you like them or you don't like them, whether you agree with them or you don't agree with them, etc. And in case where if you come in and you experience very few improvements, then I also invite you to try to understand why. Why is it that other people come in and they're able to improve so well? And if you come in and you haven't been able to do that, then ask yourself why. Is it because you're still negative about something, or bitter at something, or angry or upset at something? Because, if deep down you still resent, and if you hate someone pointedly, then of course you're not going to put yourself in the frequency to connect. And it is not, when you say that you're changing, it's not about changing for other people to see per se, but it's more so working within yourself. And so there's no need to pretend. There's no need to show off to people that I've changed. You're the one who keeping, this progress by yourself. So it's important that you understand and that you're being, very serious about how you want to change, how you want to regulate yourself. And what we can encourage you to do is don't hesitate when it comes to changing, because you might think that the things that you've been doing, the ways that you've been saying things, is good enough. But clearly, if it's good enough, then you wouldn't have to deal with the things that you're experiencing. So it's necessary to know that it is totally possible to change, and it's actually better to change, to become a kind, loving person. And so when you come into NLG and we start talking about love and morality, some of it might seem a little abstract to you at times. But as we continue to give you an example and discuss these factors, I hope that it would clears up any confusion that you have, and that it would no longer remain an idea, but that it's something that you can certainly put into practice. And while we're here, talking about love and morality, some of you might, ask me if we already know about love, right? And if we have been doing this right, then, well, this is quite a thought-provoking question. So just give yourself time to think about this, because it might give you the answer to motivate you to change. So if we have been doing everything right, and if we have been practicing love in the right way, and if we truly understand about love and morality, then why is it that we're still here and having to deal with the 3 issues that I presented you yesterday, which are wars, diseases, and poverty? Because if we have been getting everything right, then we would have moved on to a much better world, in a better space. And you can say, well, it's because people doing this and that, and because people having different opinion, because people interpret things in different ways, and that guides their, how they respond, how they behave. But then when you think about it, it all comes down to their practice of love and morality. It is because of the way that they understand love and morality that vary, that perhaps a little short in guidance. And so that's why, and that's how, and the fact that we struggle to adapt. And a lot of the time we normalize things that perhaps if you look deeper into this topic of love and morality, then you would find, and it helps you to, connect back to what love and morality truly is, according to these 5 forms of love. And also a lot of the time we find that we don't love enough, as in some people only love themselves, other people only love their family, themselves and their family, and don't care too much about others. And then well, I guess there's a huge number of people as well caring and loving and being very proud of their country, but then that's about it, and you don't really care about other country, that you don't truly care about anyone else in the world. So here at NLG we try to really extend that love, and it's totally something that we can do. It is totally possible. And of course, when it comes to the +1 -1 frequency, as I've talked about yesterday, so that is the soul's favorite energy frequency to connect. And that frequency is based out of love and morality. So if you notice that if you're happy, our body and our mind, our state of evolution can also be, very positive. But if we're sad, if we're upset, if we're, negative, a lot of the time we won't feel like doing anything. We'll probably just stay in bed, doing nothing, not motivated to start any project. So the +1 -1 frequency is about being determined, being knowledgeable, and very understanding of the things that you do. So you understand the things that you do it with a purpose and with clarity. It's about understanding why you should act with love and morality. Why are those principles very important? And that is necessary, not just understanding them from an abstract perspective, but more so from a realistic perspective, from a more practical perspective, and why you should maintain a positive presence as well. So the +1 -1, it's when you have that understanding. And when you have the understanding, you understand exactly why you should do it, the benefit of doing it, so the pros and the cons and everything, then you'll be more willing to do it. Because when you're happy and when you're positive, of course, when we talk about energy and attraction, then you can create really great attraction force for other things to come. As I've said, that when you do bad things, then you get bad things. When you do good things, you get good things. And this attraction is something, it doesn't just come naturally. Something that we need to train ourselves to do, is something that we need to work on. And it requires a lot of control, self-regulation. And basically it's like when you purchase a phone, but then your phone doesn't have any signal, no Wi-Fi, then of course with a phone like that, there won't be a lot of things that you can do, especially in this day and age. So that's very similar to our brain. So basically all of us, it's part of us, that is the brain. But a lot of the time I feel like it just there, and we, like the majority of us, don't really look into how we can harness the power of the brain. And it's just there, and we're just thinking, okay, it's doing its job, because there's a lot about the brain that we don't know yet. But when it comes to this energy source, which our brain has the capacity to attract, to absorb, to utilize, to connect, it actually depends on us. So even when our brain is, of course, very powerful, very sophisticated, but it actually relies on us as well to regulate ourselves, to put ourselves in a state to help it receive this energy source, if that makes sense. So by itself, even though the brain has the ability to attract this energy, to attract this energy, but if we don't regulate it, if we don't regulate ourselves, be in the +1 -1 frequency, then it would be very challenging for the brain to actually control, to support, to cooperate, and of course to coordinate with this energy source. And if the connection it's not right, sorry, if if you're not in the right frequency, then the connection is pretty weak. And that won't be enough for us to connect. That won't be enough for us to take in, to absorb this energy source, so that we can utilize it for other tasks, like supporting ourselves, supporting other people. And so the techniques of energy point us to the accurate frequency, to be in a state, to be consistent with that state. And we match with the energy source through this +1 -1 frequency, is something that we certainly have to create for ourselves, something that we need to train ourselves to do. And it's totally possible for us to do it with our mind. When our mind is determined and clear, and when we understand exactly what to do through the wisdom derived from love, morality, then that is exactly the key to utilize this energy source. So now I'll just remind everyone a little bit more about the importance of practicing consistently and accurately. So, of course, this example here points to the necessity to practice correctly. And what we mean by that is the techniques of energy as well as the practice duration. If you don't practice every day, the outcome may not be what you expect. Now, in order to implement this method, we really like for you to discover the principles to stimulate the brain, because our scientists has been working, tirelessly to explore the brain, to study and give us, findings and understanding about the brain. But with all of that effort, I guess they haven't get to the point where they can create a frequency that can stimulate the brain's potential to upgrade its capacity. But the outcomes, so the outcomes of their study remains quite humble compared to the great potential that we know, because the energy frequency produced by technology doesn't seem to quite match with that of the brain and of how to harness this energy source. And so we have the brain, and the ways in which we can connect to this energy source is that through our mind, through our thoughts. Our thoughts, we use it to control and receive energy, and is evidence when we practice the formulas. For example, when you practice the stem cell stimulation formula, according to the principles of energy, you would feel the differences in your body, maybe a little bit tense at your forehead. Some of you might not feel these sensations, but you gradually notice that your health will improve, etc. So that is very apparent in the fact that we can harness this energy source to improve in tremendous ways. But then, of course, if you want those improvements, if you want those transformations, then you need to practice accurately and consistently. So it's like the example of the egg and the chicken here. It indicates that you need to meet the requirements. You need to use the right techniques to get there. And of course, when we receive this energy, the part of us, I guess, that's really contributing a lot to how we change, how we transform with our health and with many other parts of us, mentally, physically, is the cells in our body. So once we receive this energy source, what happened is the cells in our body, stem cells in particular, they receive this really amazing source of energy as well. And from there, they help to develop and upgrade all parts of our body. They have the ability to adjust, to support our body from A to Z, not just with one particular condition, but it's with other conditions as well, which if you know any energy participant, or if you want to rewatch the live stream that we have on our YouTube and Facebook page, then you're welcome to do so. There's English, translation, and some of them have subtitle when Mr. Lee asks a question and things like that. And you will see the amount of people who have actually improved, thanks to NLG. And that is all because they receive energy, they connect properly, and the cells in their body helps to really achieve those great results. And the thing is that when we share with you this information, there's no reason as to why you shouldn't do, these things, because it's for your own benefits, because you have the right tools already. So, we have the brain that has the capacity to attract, to connect with this energy source, and now we're introduced to this energy source. We get to learn about what it is. We get to learn about the capacity, and the ability that it has to reach new heights. So that emphasized once again the importance of being very focused, being very consistent and accurate during the practice, according to the formulas. Now, when we talk about the benefits of NLG, a lot of participants coming in, and the first thing that they notice, most of them notice, is to do with their health. So it helps to optimize life and improve health conditions. And I guess you've heard from the people who introduce you to NLG, or maybe your friends or family, or NLG participants online. And so from there, it's not just health that we're working on, but the benefits of NLG also extend to these many different aspects of life. So even with wisdom, so once we are healthy, then of course we need to upgrade our wisdom, maximize the brain's function, and increase intelligence and wisdom. And from there, because we have good health, we have wisdom, then everything that we do, of course, we'll be able to maximize its effectiveness. So maximize our career, our job, to develop the highest career prospect. And with that, when you have health, when you have wisdom, when you are financially independent and very capable and competent, then of course that would create a lot of happiness. So because you experience that state, that stability that you long for, that I guess a lot of us, or the majority of us anyway, are looking for in our life. And so that brings about happiness. You feel harmonized with all of the relationship, because you not only can support yourself, but you can also reach out to help other people. And that's how things should go when it comes to expressing love and morality. And that brings about positive energy into the next life journey as well. Now, almost always, people believe that what they do is absolutely right, or that it is better than other people's ideas or plans, or ways of doing things. But we really need to look at the outcomes of these actions. So when someone says that I'm very good at this, or that I'm much better, I have much better idea, then we need to look at how that turns out in order to evaluate what sort of benefit that they're able to contribute to the community, at which level, at which scale. And if we continue to evaluate it again and again and again, then, and of course, consider all aspects of its development and contribution, then we can, I guess, all agree that we need wisdom and we need understanding to observe and to process everything with clarity. Because even the best of us, we've only used and we've already understand about 10% of the brain. And there are scientists that work really, really hard on this, but a lot about the brain still remain unknown. But then what if I tell you that NLG can help us to, have the ability to utilize the remaining 90% of the brain? And that is through working with this energy source, learning about this energy source, understanding exactly how to harness it, how to connect to it, and upgrade our brain, stimulate our stem cells, so that we can see for ourselves these changes. So it's not just about talking about it, but remember, I say that energy is a practice base, so you need to practice it in order to see the difference. And it's not just practicing the formula, but practicing the principles of energy as well, which is love and morality. Now, through working with this energy source, through learning from this energy source and applying it to our lives, we'll be able to do really well in life, with lots of happiness, to do things more effectively, to understand our existence in general. And that's the benefit of NLG. So we've talked about how to, flourish and take care of this life in this physical world, but of course there's a parallel world that Mr. Lee will later on talk about as you get to level 3. And that's a really interesting topic as well. It helps you to understand more about energy, explaining things, looking at things from an energy perspective. Remember that energy is not religious, it is not political. And so the things that we present to you, that share with you, and we just encourage you to have a more open mind, so that you can get to understand things from a very interesting, different, but very effective point of view as well. So the cosmic divine light, as we talked about yesterday, so the source of energy that we're using here derives from the cosmic divine light, which is an abundant resource for everyone. There's no limit to it. And it doesn't matter how many people have learned energy before you. When you come in and you start with energy, you're still set for the same potential. So it's not that you come in later and then thinking, maybe there's no energy left, because it's endless. And as long as you do the right things, then you just get to connect. And how strongly you can connect to this energy, that really depends on you. Now, when I say it depends on your performance, it doesn't mean your performance in class per se, but instead how you live your life, how you react to the things around you, how you respond to things around you, how you treat your family, people around you, how you treat yourself, how you show love to yourself. And even though we share with you these principles, we don't go around judging you for your choices or the things that you do, because you know what you do and you know how you feel about things, like truly feel about things around you, and you can never pretend to yourself, because if you feel something, of course that would stick with you, and you will know that deep down that's how you feel. So start with the smallest thing that perhaps you interpret as insignificant. For example, let's say with self-love. Okay, I'll just give you an example of self-love. Now, some people believe that they will work really, really, really hard, so that they can earn a lot of money, just so they can probably go on holiday 2 times, 3 times a year. And they believe that is self-love. Okay, so that is the interpretation of many, many people. But the self-love that we're talking about here, NLG, is more consistent, it's more immediate, okay? It's more relevant to the moment, to the presence. It's the things that many people believe that are insignificant or sort of given or ordinary, but those things can make a big difference in terms of how you practice self-love, such as if you know that you need 8 hours of sleep in order to function, in order to be fully awake and do things that you do in the most effective way, then have you been doing that? And have you been skipping meals for any reasons? Are you doing some things that that are damaging to your body, but you're under the pressure of doing it because of peer pressure, stigma, whatever, or just to be more trendy or fashionable? And then later on, you find that you regret that. It's like, okay, so why did I do that to myself? So we need to get it right in order to attract this energy source from the outer space. And it starts with the smallest thing in your life that a lot of the time, the majority of us don't, we really take it for granted. And we think that we've been doing all of these things right. And we're always up to give reasons and excuses and explanations of as to why I do it. Well, it's because the other person did this to me, so that's why I do this. Or, because they treat me unfairly, so of course I then have the rights to do it, something like that. But if you think more about love and morality and the things that we've been sharing with you here at NLG, it's about changing yourself. So it doesn't matter how the other person react or behave. They could be very mean to you. But if you say, you know what, I'm not going to do that to them because I look at what they've done, I can say, well, I can tell that is very hurtful to do those things. I don't feel good when they do that to me. So I will not do that to them. It doesn't matter if they're being mean, but I'm just going to be me, which is a loving, caring person. And so with that, you're able to eliminate any, stress and conflicts arising. Because you need to understand that if you want the support, if you want assistance from the outer space civilization, you want support from this energy source, then you need to meet all the requirements, tick all the boxes, in order for you to connect properly. And when it comes to receiving energy, we can go through the slides and you can have a look. We'll explain it to you. So even at level 1 of energy, you already learn how to stimulate your stem cells. And stem cells in treatment, as we know, can be very, very expensive. But here at NLG, we teach you how to stimulate your stem cells every day through these sets of formulas that we give you. And, at this stage, it's completely free for you to do it. But the practice is yours. So whether you keep up with the practice, whether you neglect it, that's on you, and that's your decision. And you can decide on how you want to do this. But our advice is that if you come in and you really want to see improvements, then you need to be very consistent with your practice. Now, remember that even though you can stimulate your own stem cells, you cannot help other people to stimulate their stem cells, because if they want to stimulate their stem cells, they need to come in and learn NLG, and they can then stimulate their own stem cells. And later on, I'll explain it, but later on, you see that we have a healing formula. Now, when you transmit energy to someone and you know that you're transmitting healing energy, then that is very different from stimulating stem cells. And as you get up the high class level, your energy frequency will be upgraded as you get activated. And of course, you need to upgrade your practice of love and morality as well. And then, of course, I'll just show you very quickly this. So there's, of course, some similarity if we look into this topic between the universe and the brain. So basically, each of us is like a mini universe. Our brain is packed with neurons, while the universe is packed with galaxies and a lot of things that we are yet to know. So a body, we often think of them as a single matter, that we're all by ourselves. But the things that most of us are unaware of is that we're living in this body with roughly something like 40 trillion cells, and these cells possess its own energy and wisdom, and yet they're still able to work in harmony with each other for us to function, for this body, for this mind to work. So what does that mean? It means that there's an enormous network that actively working inside our body. But a lot of the time we forget about this, and we think that we're just by ourselves. We're not thinking about all of these souls that are us, that are living inside us. We're not so mindful of that. And so a lot of the time we do, and we make bad decisions that damage the cells in our body, or we hurt ourselves in certain ways. And hurting, I don't just mean it physically, but by participating and having negative behaviors, negative emotions, putting ourselves in very depressing state and unable to bounce back. And so that's also hurting ourselves and hurting the cells in our body as well. So that's where love, it's really lagging. And that's something that we encourage you to, certainly have a look at that, and you need to really work on that. Okay, so here's just some more slices about the brain and the universe. You'll probably look into this in your free time. All right. So how do we go for time? We have about 40 minutes. Okay. So now we're going to move on to the formulas. I will explain the formulas to you before I activate you for today's session. So before talking about the formulas, I'd like to remind everyone once again about the values of love. It is boundless, and it should be boundless. It depends on whether you accept it, believe in it, in order for you to create miracles or not. That is to support yourself, support your loved ones, support the people around you. And as you get to a high class level, you're given even greater values for you to save what we call good karma credits or good karmic energy. And that is something that you can save up through doing good deeds. And of course, you need to refine your understanding using love and moral values. And with all of those things, I guess that it's pretty clear now that this is the core of energy, and it is the principle that you need to have if you want to be successful with this method. Okay, so let's move on to the formulas here. So yesterday, after class, you actually post this formula on our Telegram groups. I hope that everyone was able to access the Telegram groups yesterday and practice this formula. So this formula here is basically your homework for yesterday. And as I've said, just give you a taste of what it's like to practice energy formula. So from today onwards, we will no longer practice this brain cell activation frequency, everyone. We will no longer practice this because we'll move on to other more interesting and of course more appropriate formulas after you've been after the second energy activation. Okay, so later on I will activate you for the second time, and only when you receive the second activation as well as the activation yesterday that you're able to practice these formulas. So let's start with this one and I'll explain it to you. So as you can see here, energy formulas are divided into different steps. And so basically you would go in this sequence. Okay, so from 1, 2, 3 to 4. And so remember, I said yesterday that step 1 is basically the command. But think about it as the command. It's basically the things that you need to get right at the first place, so that you put your mind in a state of knowing exactly what it is that you're working on. So when you practice energy formulas, you don't need to read them out loud. You can recite them silently in your head. So you can think about them in your head for all of these steps here. Okay. Now, first of all, before you practice the formula, it's really important to look at the note as well as the practice duration and the practice duration, because this is a formula that you will practice for yourself. So the practice duration will depend on your age. So the notes here said, when practicing, keep your eyes open and direct energy accordingly. And then you can see the practice duration right here. So you go from step 1, recite silently once, receive cosmic divine light, new era NLG level 1 frequency band, stem cell stimulation frequency. And then you move on to step 2, where you receive. Okay, so this is an important verb right here, receive. Okay, energy into the brain. So that's when you actually visualize energy from outer space entering the brain right here. So that's what it means when I say receive energy into the brain. And you will go receive first time, receive second time, receive third time. And you give it 3 to 5 seconds in between. And then first step, send energy from the brain into the ERC. Send first time, second time, third time. And of course, you give it 3 to 5 seconds each time that you send. Now, the ERC, I hope that everyone would be very familiar with this by now. The ERC is the Energy Reception Center. So it's short for that. And it is at the back of your neck. Okay, it's that part at the back of your neck. And then step 4, continuously direct energy into the brain to the ERC and continue sending it from the ERC down the entire spine to the coccyx. Continuously support the energy, maintain the warmth for the entire spine to stimulate stem cells until alarm rings. So basically, that's how you would channel this energy in step 4. You will maintain it and send it right down the entire spine. Okay. Now, you'll find that because, for example, if you're above 18, you'll practice this for 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And you'll find that for the remaining time of the 5 minutes and 30 seconds, you will spend on step 4, because step 4 is basically an ongoing, sort of process. It's like an ongoing command. That's where you consciously keeping and directing that energy there. And you don't need to fully learn step 4 by heart to mimic it. Rather, it's an explanation so that you know exactly what to do. And of course, this image right here only helps you to visualize how you channel the energy better. When you practice, of course, you will visualize your own body. You will visualize energy entering your body in the ways that it has instructed here on this formula, and that it would travel down your body in the way that you can see demonstrated in this image here. So this is pretty straightforward. And actually later on, after I activate you for the second time of level 1, then we will actually practice this formula together, just so you understand how we go about, the timing and the pace, just to give you a bit more guidance when it comes to practicing this formula. Okay, so this is an interesting formula here. So this is the formula to self-healing frequency. So once again, step 1, you will say, receive cosmic divine light, new era energy level 1 frequency band, self-healing frequency. And you recite that once silently. Think about that as the command. And then step 2, receive energy into the brain. So from outer space, entering the brain, receive first time, second time, third time. Then step 3, send energy from the brain into the ERC. So send first time, send second time, send third time. And then in step 4, continuously direct energy into the brain and transmit it into the ERC. Let the warmth of energy spreads on its own until alarm rings. Now, this is self-healing, and as the name suggests, this is a formula that you practice for yourself. So the practice duration will depends on your age. So let's say you're above 18, then you will practice this for 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And of course, please read the notes right here. It's said to keep your eyes open and direct energy accordingly. Now, it's really important that when it's said to keep your eyes open, that you do just that. When you come into a method, it might, it might feel similar to the ones that you've already done, but I suggest that you practice according to the instruction of the method that you're currently doing. So for example, if you're doing NLG, then please follow all of the instructions of NLG. And as to why you need to keep your eyes open, that is for you to train yourself. So regardless of anything that's happening around you, even though you can see them, even though you can hear them, but you can still have the ability to focus very well. Okay, so this is the healing formula. This is direct healing formula. So this is a healing formula that you can use on other people to support other people. So first step, receive cosmic divine light, new era energy, level 1 frequency band, direct healing frequency. Okay, so notice how it says direct. It means that you need to be there with the person. Okay, that's what it means by direct healing. Step 2, receive energy into the brain of the transmitter. So basically you are transmitting energy to another person, so that makes you the transmitter. So you receive energy into your brain first. Receive first time, second time, third time. And then step 3, send energy from the brain of the transmitter into the recipient's ERC. Send first time, second time, third time. And then in step 4, the transmitter continuously transmit energy from the brain of the transmitter into the recipient's ERC. Let the warmth of energy spread on its own until alarm rings. Okay, so because it is direct healing, so what you do is you need to physically be there with the recipient. And because it's direct healing, so you need to put 2 hands on the recipient's ERC, like so. Okay, so this is the ERC right here. It's at the back of your neck here. And then this is how you will place your hand, on the ERC. And that's how you will support them while you recite this formula in your head. This is the hand position that you will use. And so it's really important to inform the recipient of things that, of basically what you're going to do. And the practice duration, it's based on the recipient's age. So for example, if you support someone, say who is above 18 years old, then you would practice this formula on them for 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Or if you heal if you try to support a 5-year-old child, so you can see here, 4 to 7 years old, that would be 1 minute and 30 seconds. So you will support that 5-year-old child in 1 minute and 30 seconds using this formula. Something also really important is that you will see here that children from 0 to 3 years old, you would only practice this formula on them for 30 seconds to 1 minute. Now, that's not a lot of time. So what you can do, and you can only apply this to this particular age group of 0 to 3 years old, is that you can start with step 1 and then step 2. And then as you get to step 3, that's when you will press your timer. Okay, that's where you set your alarm to, let's say, 30 seconds or 1 minute, and then you'll start from step 3. So basically you finish step 1, finish step 2 without the timer, and you only start the timer at step 3. And this method the notes that I share with you just now, that only applies when you give support to 0 to 3 years old children. Whereas from 4 years old onwards, you will practice exactly according to this time, and you will also need to start the timer from step 1. So I hope that that's clear. So level 1 participants are not yet ready to support people with neurological diseases. Please read these notes because it's really, really important. And just keep in mind that this formula is direct healing. You need to be there with the recipient physically. And at this level 1, you can only support family members. For example, your parents, grandparents, in-laws, etc., siblings. Before supporting another person with serious illnesses, the transmitter must feel the warmth for 5 minutes and 30 seconds during the practice of stem cells stimulation formula. And while performing, the transmitter and the recipient keeps their eyes open and maintain a state of mindfulness. The recipient visualizes the ailing areas where it's hurting. If there are many, then just focus on the ERC here and the entire spine. So this is something, the last point in the notes there, that's something that you can actually inform your recipient so that they know exactly how to visualize this energy, how to absorb it when it comes in. Okay, some really useful note for you is that when you place your hand on the person's ERC, as demonstrated in this on this image here, please don't apply too much pressure, or else your hands and your arms will feel really sore afterwards. Just imagine that you're placing your hands like that and your arms like that for 5 minutes and 30 seconds. That would definitely be quite sore afterwards. So make sure that you maintain it very comfortable, distance between you and the recipient, just so that your arms are comfortable, feeling comfortable, and you need to sit at a similar height as the recipient, because once again, that just prevents your arms from feeling sore afterwards. And if you do feel, sore, if you feel like you have sore arms afterwards, then, just maybe do a stretch or something like that. Because basically when you place your hands at, certain angles for 5 minutes and 30 seconds, that's pretty much like going to the gym and things like that. So that's pretty normal. And also, even when it said that you can assist your family members, it doesn't mean that you would only assist them when they are sick. Okay, so you can still assist your family members if they agree to it on a daily basis, just so you can, assist them so that to sort of prevent things from happening, and for them to also be very interested to learn about this method, to understand how energy works, and to understand that energy can play a really important part to support us and our health. And particularly is very, very great for children. If you have children, you can use this formula on them as well, so that they can remain in a healthy state, and that is completely fine. And so basically, when you practice energy formulas, you need to set a timer for the appropriate practice duration according to the note that you have in each of the formulas. And then once you press go, when you press start on the timer, then that's when you will go from step 1 and then all the way to step 4. And if in step 4 is set to continuously doing something, please do that for the remaining time. Don't just sit there and not directing energy, because for the remaining time you should be directing that energy. You need to constantly keeping it there, working with it. And of course, it's really important for you to focus for the entire practice duration, because even if your timer is on, and even when you're in the middle of transmitting energy, but if your mind wanders off somewhere else, if you're thinking about something else, for example, thinking about shopping, thinking about what to have for dinner, or thinking about someone or work, or whatever it is, then you know that that practice session won't be as effective as you would expect. And so it's really important that if you feel like you've been distracted for more than 30 seconds during, per practice session, that you would actually need to stop and then discard that session and then just come back to it again. Okay, so here I actually have a few notes, and remember that all of these formulas and these notes, I will post them on our Telegram groups. I will show you the QR code later on, and you can scan it. And of course, just join those Telegram groups so that you can ask questions, you can get updated with formulas and announcements and things like that. And then later on, I'll probably show you our Facebook and YouTube channel as well, just so that you keep in mind those, ways to contact us and to get yourself posted with the latest announcements and posts. Okay, so formula for level 1. For level 1, you will practice 2 formulas, the stem cells stimulation formula and the self-healing every day. Okay, you can practice these 2 formulas continuously, so one after the other, or you can practice them 1 to 2 hours apart. Please note that level 1 student have received 2 activations, meaning the brain cell, which is yesterday, and then the stem cells, which I'm about to do after I finish reading out these notes and explain them for you. So only level 1 student who have received 2 activation can practice the level 1 formulas. So if anyone here who missed out on yesterday's activation, I'm very sorry to say, but you will need to wait until the next level 1 so that you can receive both of the activations. And I hope that when you come in to do a class, not just NLG, but any class, any things that you're interested in, that you would put in the effort. And of course, you would be very serious throughout this learning process. And direct healing formula can be used to support family members as needed. When practiced, maintain self-awareness for 5 minutes and 30 seconds and relax your mind. If you are distracted for more than 30 seconds, don't count that practice. Reset the timer and start again. Choose a quiet place to practice. Keep your eyes open the whole time. Of course, you can blink. Find a focus point or object. Avoid using fan or AC to feel warmth during practice. Practice the formulas as instructed correctly and daily. Maintain moral ethics, 5 forms of love, and the states of +1, -1 to achieve desired outcomes. Okay, so here are more notes for the specific formulas. So for example, with the stem cell stimulation formula, when you practice the formula for the first time and the whole spine feels warmth continuously for 5 minutes and 30 seconds, then you only need to practice this formula once a day. But then in contrast, if you practice for the first time with the stem cells stimulation formula the first time, but then the whole spine doesn't feel warm, so maybe it's warm in parts, or maybe it's only a little bit warm, like at some, maybe at the top, but not at the bottom of the spine. And then you can practice for the second time and the third time. So it's up to 3 times that you can practice the stem cell stimulation formula. It depends on how you feel during the practice, whether you experience warmth at the entire spine or not. And when you do need to practice for a second time or a third time, you can practice them in a row, so just one after the other straight away, or you can wait for 1 to 2 hours apart, and then you can practice them up to 3 times, okay, per day. And that is when you practice it every day. And then when you practice the self-healing formula, you should practice this formula at least 6 hours before going to bed, because late practice can lead to excess energy, causing difficulty sleeping. Now, healthy or mildly ill people need to practice self-healing once a day. In case of severe disease, practice twice a day. For support, healing on the same person or receiving energy from another person need to be spaced from 6 to 8 hours. Okay, so what that means is that if you practice self-healing and then you receive healing support from another person, let's say you receive energy support from Mr. Lei on the live stream daily, then you need to space that out at least 6 hours. So let's say if you receive energy support from Mr. Lei in the morning, then you have to wait until 6 hours later, and that is minimum 6 hours later, for you to practice self-healing. Or in the other way, if you have received self-healing, if you have practiced self-healing, then you also need to wait at least 6 hours to receive energy support from someone else. Could be Mr. Lei, could be another energy participant. Okay, now in case of emergency, if you experience fatigue, discomfort, or you want to faint, you can practice self-healing right away, and there's no need to wait for 6 hours. So before I actually activate your stem cells, I like to remind everyone that it is absolutely necessary to upgrade your love and moral quality as you go up the class level. Is so important to match your level of love and moral values with the energy class level that you have been activated. And so because it's important, so that's why we suggest that you start with the first 2 forms of love, self-love and love of family, at level 1 of energy, and then you can work your way through the 3rd, the 4th, and then the 5th. Okay. All right, so now I will show you a demonstration video because I will activate your stem cells now. So basically what you do is you would look at my forehead, and then you visualize energy from my forehead going into your brain 3 times. And then you direct that energy from your brain that you've already received down the entire spine. So all the way down 3 times. And then you'll continue to support that energy there at the entire spine. Okay, so look at my forehead, receive energy into your brain 3 times. And then take that energy from your brain, take it down the entire spine 3 times, and then you support it there, you keep it there. Okay, so I'll just show you the demonstration video so that you know exactly how to receive these stem cells activation from me. Okay, so have a look. So you started off, and I will close my eyes, of course. You will open your eyes. Please don't close your eyes, okay? I will close my eyes. You will keep your eyes open. And then you visualize energy going from my forehead into yours like this. So 1, 2, 3, and then from your brain down your spine, 1, 2, 3, and then you keep it there at the entire spine and all the way down. Okay, just have a look again. Receive into your brain, 1, 2, 3, from your brain down the entire spine, 1, 2, 3, and then keep it there at the entire spine until I said thumbs up. Okay, watch it one more time. Into the brain, 1, 2, 3, down the spine, 1, 2, 3, and then keep it at the entire spine like so. Okay. All right, so I hope that that's very, very clear, everyone. All right. So now you know how to receive the stem cells activation from me. I will now go ahead and activate your stem cells for you for 1 minute and 30 seconds. I will set my timer. So I hope that everyone's ready. Everyone know exactly how to receive this activation. Okay. All right. And we'll start now, everyone. Okay, so we have completed that activation there. Now, if during the activation, or right now, if you feel a little bit tense at your forehead, or if you feel like you have a mild headache, what you can do is do short inhale. Okay, so inhale through your nose 3 times. Inhale through your nose for 3 seconds, and then exhale through your mouth for 6 seconds. And you do that 3 times, okay, if you feel a little bit tense at your forehead. And if you do feel a little bit tense at your forehead, then it means that it's working. For those of you who haven't felt anything at your forehead, or you feel no difference, that's okay, because our sensor system can be very different. As long as during the activation, you understand how to receive the energy and you're actively accepting that energy into your system, then that means that you've already been activated. Okay, so now we will practice the stem cell stimulation formula together. I will put the formula up on the screen. As I said early on, we will practice this formula together so that you have an understanding of how to practice it on your own. And I will also play a demonstration audio, and I'll leave these formula on the screen here so that you can see, and you can also listen to the audio, because it will just guide you through how to practice the formula. So basically, I will set my timer to 5 minutes and 30 seconds because I assume that most participants here are above 18 years old. If you do have children joining you, if they're learning energy with you, then please set a separate timer for them, okay, according to their age that you can see on the screen here. Okay, so now I will turn off my video so that it doesn't block anything on the screen. All right, so let's practice this together, everyone. This is practice session for stem cell stimulation frequency. Timer 5 minutes and 30 seconds for participant above 18 years old. Step 1. Recite silently once. Receive Cosmic Divilite New Era NOG Level 1 frequency band. Stem cell stimulation frequency. Step 2. Receive energy into the brain. Receive first time. Receive second time. Receive third time. Step 3. Send energy from the brain into the ERC. Send first time. Send second time. Send third time. Step 4. Continuously direct energy into the brain to the ERC and continue sending it from the ERC down the entire spine to the coccyx. Continuously support the energy, maintain the warmth for the entire spine to stimulate stem cells until alarm rings. Okay, everyone. So thank you for participating in today's class, and congratulations on completing level 1 if you have received both of the activations, so one yesterday and one today. And I hope that you actually by now understand how to practice the energy formulas. So it's really important, and just a reminder before we go, actually I'll just put up the QR code right now while before we wrap this up. Okay, sorry about that. Everyone can see this on the screen. So remember to practice accurately and diligently. And if you have any question, feel free to reach us by our Telegram group. So we have the first one here, which is the notification, and then we have the chat group in the middle here. That's where you're going to actually ask questions. If there's anything that you don't understand, anything that you need to discuss or share, you're welcome to post that in the chat group. And then the level 1 and 2 channel, that's also where you will receive posts and announcements and all of that. And if you need to, if you haven't been able to scan these QR code, you can always go back to this video. After this class finished, you can always come back to this video, come back to this part, and then you can just scan it. Now we will only post our formulas on our Telegram groups. As of the current moment, that's how we do it. So it's really important that you actually scan and join our Telegram groups. All right, and before we go, I actually want to show you very quickly our, other than our Telegram groups, if you want to keep yourself posted with announcements or anything like that, this is our Facebook Energy University, and just have a look at how it looks, and currently has 16,000 likes and 34,000 followers. So those are some of the numbers to tune into, just to make sure that you get into the right page. Okay. And then, of course, we also have our YouTube channel here, Energy University, with around 41,000 subscribers. So this is the right channel for you to have a look if you need to find us on YouTube. All right, so I hope that everyone has enjoyed this class, and I apologize for the technical issue that we experienced at the start of this class. We're trying to figure out what's happening, trying to fix it as soon as we can, so that we will no longer experience that in the classes in the future. So thank you once again. And next week we will have level 2 in English. Okay. I'll show you very quickly as well, so that you don't miss out on the upcoming level 2, because now that you've completed level 1, there'll be level 2 next week, September 30th. Okay, so all right, so thank you everyone. And the registration link for level 2 is still up. You can register for that. And I hope to see you in our level 2. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your day, or good night if it's already evening for you. And I'll see you later. Thank you, everyone.